Hello everyone, this is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk about why men are opting out and going MGTOW. Because there's no doubt that men are opting out of relationships, of work, of education. And it's having a devastating effect on the men, on the women, and on society. Well, maybe not so much on the women. That's what I want to talk about. Now, I make a lot of videos on this subject. I consume a lot of media, and I give the subject a great deal of thought. And men are opting out. And it's not just some unimportant, isolated incident. It's not just some men who are not happy and unsatisfied with the situation. Losers that can't make it. No, that's not what it is at all. This is happening throughout all of Western civilization. Men are not seeking relationships with women. Men are not building families. Men are not building careers. And women have stepped into these roles, but they're not suited for these roles. As a matter of fact, it actually costs more money to support women in these productive roles than they produce. And it's devastating to society and civilization. And we can see that. Things can't continue like this for long. But let's just go into some of the details about it, okay? As I mentioned in some of my previous videos, the Great Recession of 2008, 3/4 of the jobs lost were lost by men. And these were mainly manufacturing jobs. Now, some of you are hearing this and saying, manufacturing jobs don't matter. A high-paying office job matters a lot more. Well, that's not exactly true, because it's not just the productive work that the manufacturing class actually did and the products that they produce. And it's not just that they, support the actual families that support the population that create your true tax base. And the office job is geared much more towards, the single person. And here's the thing. Men can't hold on to their office jobs. I'm sorry, guys. It doesn't matter how good you are. Unless you're willing to behave like a complete beta, blue pill, simping cuck, you're not going to be able to hold on to your office job. And to do that, you're going to have to betray your own masculine physiology. And if you don't think it's going to get to that, if you don't think it's going to go that far, if you don't think it's going to get that bad, just look at the older men in that environment and know that it's getting worse than that. So yeah, women are doing great in the workplace, right? And all she has to do is express some minor concern about this other guy's, this man's attitude or how he makes her feel. So that's how sexually empowered women are within the workplace. That's how strongly we as a civilization, as a society, cater to the woman's wants, needs, feelings. That's what's dominating, and especially in an office-based environment where production is completely secondary. Well, largely, it's a different factor. It's not men producing work. Because if it was, you couldn't, because women can't do that, not nearly as effectively. So the men are driven out of their hunting grounds. Truly, and I know it's a strange way to put it, but that's what it is. This is a very basic instinctual kind of thing going on here. And as I said, it's not just isolated cases, because it's happening across all Western civilizations, and they don't even have replacement population growth rates. So, what kind of an argument do you want to make to me personally? It's like, that's great, buddy. That's great. Yeah, you're a real stud, but your civilization is dying. And a simple linear extrapolation will show you how long it'll take. So what are you talking about? And we can do the same thing, with our finances. And you can do the same thing with your health. And you can just project it outward. If things continue, as they are now, where are you going to be in the future? So we want to make improvements. And the men are opting out of the workplaces. Now, on the plus side, some of them are going to turn it around and create industries unto themselves, and start their own businesses. But most won't. Most needed the system. And I'm sorry to put it that way. Let me talk about the educational system, because the same thing is going on there. The men are being driven out. The boys are being driven out. From early education, the boys are being conditioned. They're being demonized for simply being boys. They're being drugged. They're being shamed. They're giving out grades based on submission, compliance, conformity, going along with the rules. These are not male qualities. If you have a strong male child, those are not his qualities. I'm sorry to say it like that, but what the hell, right? It's like you're taking the most healthy and the strongest of the males and you're punishing them for that exact behavior. So you're destroying your best and you're setting this example, for the others from this early age. And you're conditioning them in these retarded deferral to female desires. It's disgusting. And the men all around it, they give into it because they want to please the women too. So it's like all of society is being held hostage and everybody has to walk around on eggshells. And, the women take over your educational system and they demonize the boys. And they don't teach mathematics, and they want to give grades for, things like sitting still. Think about that. Little Johnny's really good at doing what he's told. Think about that. So like you guys out there who want to get married and have kids, okay? So there you go. Now you've got a son and he's really good at sitting still and doing what he's told. He's really good at that. So is that a great thing, right? So men aren't anxious to do that. Let's take a look at the legal system, right? I mean, do I even need to say anything? You can go to jail for not paying alimony. It's like the only country in the world. Men go to jail for not paying for a woman for the rest of her life. Think about it. I mean, I'm sure like some of you guys are thinking, oh, well, Howard Dare, he's just some loser complaining about women. So you get in a relationship with a woman, okay? Maybe you have a child, okay? Now you split up, right? Well, you're going to have to help pay for that child's upbringing, aren't you? Of course you are. Okay, fair enough, isn't it? I'm afraid so. Your child, your child. So let's say they decide you have to give over, $2,500 a month to her to take care of the child and her, right? And, you fall in some hard times and you can't do it. And you can only give her $1,500 a month for a while, right? Well, you're going to jail. How do you like that? Yeah, seriously though. You're going to jail. Seriously. So how is that? So men are opting out. Why would a man agree to that? She could divorce him for no reason, take his children, take his home, take everything he's worked for, destroy his reputation, and then he has to pay to take care of her for the rest of her life. Or he goes to jail. Isn't love great? So, overall, men in their capitulation to women and women in their willingness to use sexuality to manipulate the men, and the men are just, victims to their own biology. They don't even know what's going on. They just want to say, yes, honey, yes, dear. And then they, want to have sex. You've completely incentivized these entitled princess bitches to, the entirety of our society is geared towards taking care of these types of people. Not towards production, not towards efficiency, not towards building a future, but satisfying the temporary whims and desires of a privileged class who hate the people who support them and shames them and manipulates them. And I hope you guys aren't going to call me a sexist or a racist for saying this, right? But that's how it works. That's the technique that's used on men, on honorable men, is to say that they are not good and honorable men. And they respond like that. That's what the news industry is now. Okay, that's all they're doing. They're just slandering people. And it's like, if you don't go along with us, if you don't agree with our political policies, we're going to slander you. So of course, good men are stepping away from this. And of course, this is incentivizing the worst behavior in humans and in people and in women. And if a man wants to, get ahead, and if he wants to get together with the women, and if he was a young man who was raised in this system, that's what he's going along with. So that's what's facing men, and that's why they are opting out on all levels. And if you're, if you're like, hey, Howard, you're crazy, I'm just going to go out there and do really well in this system. It's like, well, that's great. And I don't want to destroy your motivation or anything like that, but just look around the other men, in the situation that they're in, and just keep all that stuff in mind. And I've said in other videos, I don't even know that what's happening here is intentional or evil, but it is part of our nature, and it is an exploitation of the male good nature. He wants to protect the women, he wants to be of service, he wants to be loyal, he wants to do what's right. So you condition him to believe that what is right is to always to help the weak and to take care of the women and the needy and those who can't take care of themselves. And then every time he doesn't do what you want him to do, every time he isn't your servant, you just accuse him of not doing the, of neglecting that aspect of what he's supposed to do, of being a man, and he'll conform. And it's bullshit. And the men are not even, and it's related to then how the man responds physiologically to the world. In other words, once he goes along with the entitled princess bitch who's manipulating him and lying and telling him he has to hold open the door, right? And that he has to accept a B grade instead of an A grade because we're all on a curve now and she's an idiot. He has to pay insurance money when he himself is perfectly fucking healthy and has never gone to a doctor. He has to pay taxes for people who aren't even from his country, right? So he has to go broke. He has to lose money. He has to, you take food off of his table that he's earned, okay, to give it to somebody who's not from his own country, who hates his guts, who's playing the victim, who wants to have multiple children, and will teach them to do the same thing, right? And if he doesn't go along with it, you're saying, hey, you're a bad man and you don't get together with women and you're a loser. So of course they're opting out. What the hell? Could you create a worse deal for the men? Yeah, I suppose if they don't go along with what you tell them to do, you could put them in jail. Oh, but we're already doing that, aren't we? Oh, I suppose you could condition them from the age of children. Oh, but we're already doing that, aren't we? I suppose that you could, give them drugs as children to make them comply. But we're already doing that, aren't we? I suppose you could take every aspect of your media and your entertainment and your religion and your government and use it to enforce these ideas, which are actually anti-human. They're not just anti-male, they're anti-human, and they're anti-productive. And we're already doing that. That's why men are opting out. That's why MGTOW is here. Has to be here. Has to give men this insight, the philosophy behind it, some tips, some pointers, how to navigate through it, to know that they're not alone, to have a group, a community, and to find their own way. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate. Click on my PayPal donation link, request yourself a Howard Dare video, or just make a donation to the channel. I would appreciate it. And join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.